that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing it for y'all so that I can understand where we're coming from. I want to show you the issue. You know, you hear about illegal aliens, you hear about undocumented students, and you hear criminals, you hear thieves, you hear rapists. But I'm here to tell you that we are not rapists, that we are not thieves, that I want to be a teacher and I want to give back to my community, that some dreamers over here want to be aerospace engineers, that some dreamers over here want to be architects, that some dreamers here want to be sociologists, that some dreamers over here want to be psychologists. So thank you, because this is for y'all. My name is Jose. Many of y'all probably don't know my last name because I'm being too afraid to share it. But you see, it's highlighted, so if you want to take a picture, whatever it is, I'm willing to pose for it, just for you to see my last name one day. My name is Jose, and I'm undocumented and I'm unafraid. I will tell you my story, so if you can come closer so you can actually hear it. That would be actually real good, so I don't have to yell too much. So let me start with this. All right? So whenever I was 5 years old of age, my little brother, who was 3 years old at the time, that passed away. He passed away and the hospital couldn't revive him, couldn't give him life. At the age of 5 years old, I started crying. My livelihood started being miserable because my dad, an alcoholic, started turning into drugs. My dad started turning into alcohol and started abusing my mom. My mother started simply being so sad and suffering a lot in a house, in a shack that just couldn't even provide anything. So those of you who don't understand this, just hear me out. You know, put your signs down, just hear this side of the human side of the story. You can disagree, do whatever you want after you live here, but just hear my story. Just hear our story. At the age of 5 years old, I started crying in a shack because my brother had passed away. They told my mom that she couldn't have any kids anymore. But you know what? You know what? My sister was born. A miracle from the Lord up there, she was born. And I was just so very happy. But you know what? Things got worse. I told you that my dad was an alcoholic. He started abusing me. He started abusing my mom. He started hitting my sister. I remember his quote. He never once told me he loved me. He never once told me that he cared for me. He never once told my sister that he loved her. You know, this is his quote. His quote was, "I gave you life, I can so take it away." That was the quote I have from my dad. I remember him hitting me. I remember him beating me up. I remember him, one time he grabbed a machete and almost killed my dad, my brother's head. I remember my mom so many times going to the hospital because my dad was abusing. Can you understand why my mom came here? Can you give her a second and just understand why she came here? She was abused. She was physically, morally, emotionally abused. She almost sometimes got shot. Many times my dad missed. But you know what? My mom cared for us. At the age of 7 years old, I started working in the streets. I was that guy that used to clean somebody's wheelchair on a stoplight. I was that guy that used to sell candy in a stadium. I was that guy who used to sing inside of a bus and ask people for money so that I could provide a piece of bread for my family. At the age of 7, I started working. Can you understand my mom? Can you give her a chance why she decided to give me a better future? At the age of 7, I started working and I was just so afraid because I would go to school in the morning and then in the afternoon I would work. Let me fast forward when I was 13 years old in year 1998. Hurricane Mitch destroyed my house. I remember being on top of a roof holding next to my little sister because I was afraid that the current was gonna take her because the current was too strong. I was afraid that the freaking river was gonna swallow my sister and that I was never gonna see her. She was only like 5 years old. Can you understand what's going on in Honduras? A country with gangs, a country with political problems, a country that has so many violence. Can you understand? I don't think so. I don't think so because you're not in my place, but I want you to see it. I want you to understand where I'm coming from. In year 1998, Hurricane Mitch destroyed my house, destroyed my family. He almost killed a lot of my friends. I remember being on top of a roof holding next to my little sister. I remember the next day going back to my house just to figure out that there was nothing in there. That everything that I always cared for, my little teddy bear was no longer there. The little thing that my brother had made for me was no longer there. My brother, you know what? Many people have this ideology that gangs are always bad and stuff like that. You know, I don't agree with gangs. But you know what? Whenever you live in a neighborhood, that the only way for you to be secure, the only way for you to have protection for your family, and the only way to provide something for your family is to be able to join some sort of group. To be able to protect your people. My brother did that to be able to protect us. So in year 1998, he destroyed my house. My dad started turning in alcohol. I didn't see him for months. And then whenever he came, he always beat my mom up. He always used to beat up my sister. He used to give me black eyes all the time. Instead of I love you, he used to beat me up. Can you understand? I remember my mom making the decision of coming to this country. I remember her saying, you know what, I can't live here no more. I remember her saying, we're leaving because she needed to escape from a country of violence. I remember. Do you remember? You don't remember, but I remember. She left the country, and in about 4 days, she found herself in the United States. She walked. She slept in mountains. That is my hero. Every time we hear about us, you know, whenever essays we talk about a hero, that's my hero. My mom is my hero. I lived in Honduras for 2 years with my dad. I lived with them for 2 years in Honduras, and you know what? Whenever I used to want to go home after a hard day of work to sleep, I used to sleep outside because my father would be prostituting himself with somebody inside the apartment. You remember, you don't remember. But I remember sleeping outside of Greece. I remember asking people for food. I remember. And I also remember that one day after working very hard, I simply wanted to play soccer with my friends. And at the age of 13 years old, I was shot twice in both of my arms. I was simply playing soccer and there was a drop-by. And both of my arms were shot. I remember running away. I remember trying to escape. I remember trying to find a place to refuge. And I remember a lady healing me. And you know what else I remember? I remember the next day going to work to be able to provide for my dad's addiction. I remember that. I remember, you know, having no home. I remember just working. That's my story. Can you understand me? Can you understand me why I'm here? And then whenever I was 14 years old, I just couldn't live there no more. My grandma said, you have to leave this country. Otherwise, your life is in danger. Because they have confused me. You know what else I remember? I remember, you know, my grandma, you know, trying to tell me to leave. And I always said no. I remember being in Guatemala. At the age of 14 years old, I remember being in a very nasty hotel. And I remember my grandma told me these words. She told me, vas por el sueño americano. I didn't know what that meant. Sueño americano, Honduras is part of America. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what dollars were. I didn't know what America was. I was simply running away from violence, from a very violent father, from people that had shot me, from people that made me work, from people that didn't love me in that country. Can you understand where I'm coming from? I remember that. I remember being in my journey over here. And you know, it took me about 45 days to get here. And I remember a guy who was in the train and he got stuck in the trails. I remember his body put into pieces. I can remember that right now. I can see it in my face, right in my mind. Can you understand where I'm coming from? I remember his hands be cut off. And when I was in that train, I just had one thing to say. I want to see my mom and I want to see my sister. The only people that love me. The only people that care for me. The only person that heard me when I was in Honduras. That's what I remember. I remember then crossing that river, you know. I remember being caught up in a curve and I was afraid I wasn't going to see my mom. That's what I remember. I was so afraid. And when immigration got me, they put me in a detention center. And I was there for about 15 days because I didn't know what they were going to do with my life. I remember going inside of a room number 7. And they gave me from clothes to whatever it was. I remember going inside the room and simply crying because my mom wasn't there. You know, I lived a life of suffering, a life of pain. And whenever I came to America, the first image that I saw was a student walking with a backpack. And I said in my mind, I want to get educated. And I said in my mind, I want to go to school. I said, why is he free? Why was I inside a patrol car and why was he free? I didn't remember that very years. I remember my mom picking me up in the detention center. Because immigration had given me a permit to stay. I remember that. And I remember I remember seeing my mother for the first time in 2 years. Can you picture that? When I saw her, I simply gave her a hug and I laid down. I threw myself down on the floor and I thought it was a dream. I thought I would hit myself. And that's when I remember seeing my mom, and then we were in a bus to Houston, Texas, and I remember seeing my little sister. I don't know if you understand. I don't know if you remember, but I remember. I remember being inside, you know, an apartment that used to have like 12, 13 people in a one-room apartment. I remember going to a school and being expelled from every school, from every institution that I attended. I was suspended in 3rd grade in Honduras because I had to work. I was suspended here because of the color of my skin. Because one, I couldn't attach myself with the people from Mexico because my accent was different. I couldn't go with the mainstream because I didn't speak the language. So I had to fight 2 battles with my own people and the people that didn't like me. I remember that. And you know what else? So I remember going to high school and being a troublemaker. I remember being stabbed in my head once because I wasn't behaving well. I remember getting in so much trouble, but then whenever I was 17 years old, 2003, I remember coming to my Lord Jesus Christ, who gave me life, who saved me from death, who not only told me that I was his child, but he also told me that I was a citizen of his kingdom. I remember that. And that gave me so much hope. I became the youth pastor of my church. I became the leader of FCA, Fellowship of the Christian Athletes, in my high school. I was the co-founder of Campus Crusade for Christ at my community college. I graduated with an Associate of Arts degree from my college. I remember that. And you know what? Whenever I got my letter of acceptance at Texas A&M, I went back to my mom and I told her, Mom, I got accepted to A&M and I'm a Aggie. And she started crying. And I thought she was just being a mom. But